A very good morning to each one. A very good morning to each one of you present today. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I learn. The quotation said by the great scientist Benjamin Franklin. It's a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome all the participants who are present here to attend the sixth day of 1 week webinar on emerging trends and technologies in developing skills in higher education. It's my great honor to welcome our today's resource person, Dr. Ramesh Rathod. Before we begin this last day session, let's invoke the Almighty God for all his blessings.
Light of the world, you step down into Light of the world, you step down into darkness. Open my eyes, let me see beauty that made his heart adore you. Hope of a life spent with you. And here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. King of all days, also highly exalted, glorious in heaven above. Humbly you came to the earth, you created them. All for love's sake became
Today's session will include the advanced topic regarding recent advances in freshwater aquaculture. I hope you will find this session to be fruitful and engaging. It's my great honor and pleasure to introduce Dr. Ramesh Rathod, Central Institute of Freshwater Aquaculture. Dr. Ramesh Rathod is a senior scientist in Central Institute of Freshwater Aquaculture, New Delhi. Worked as assistant professor in College of Fisheries Science under SP Veterinary University at Nelluru and also worked as assistant manager in rural development at Syndicate Bank. He had his PhD in aquaculture and post graduation in fisheries science from Central Institute of Fisheries Education, Mumbai. He has associated 8 projects such as DBT, NFDB, and ICAR, NICRA, PMM, SY, Government of India, and 13 projects funded by ICAR. He has authored 20 books, book chapters, and training manuals, published 25 research papers, various international and national journals, 15 leaflets, and popular articles. Also, he is reviewer of 5 research journals. Dr. Ramesh Rathod is a life member in Agriculture Research Services Forum and Association of Aquaculturists since 2014 and member in Society of Fisheries Technologists India. We are very grateful to you for gracing the occasion in a delightful manner and making it convenient to attend as a speaker of this webinar. His best experience of a research and guidance has helped people on the path of personal growth and fulfillments. He is not only a man of clear perception but always sensitive to teacher needs and concerns. Sir, we are extremely happy with your presence on this occasion. Once again, I welcome Dr. Ramesh Rathod to start this session successfully. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir.
Can you see the presentation, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes.
I am audible also, hope.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's audible and it's visible, sir.
Full screen mode.
Yes, sir.
Yes, full screen it's visible.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Welcome you once again, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. It's an honor, really, such a wonderful gesture here today. So many participants have been joined. So first of all, I go very good morning to all of you. And it's a long marathon. I think this is the 6th day of this webinar. So I am very fortunate to be a part of this webinar. And let's, though we are now short of time, already 10:30, supposed to be start at 10. I am waiting since long, half an hour. Then we'll start straight away. Okay. So first of all, no need of introduction. I think Madam has been introduced such a wonderful introduction for me. I'm very grateful and thank you, Madam. And today's topic for the presentation is recent advances in freshwater aquaculture. So as we know, the world population increasing day by day. So there is no question of that. What about our population increasing, but the stable food, the food commodity, how it is rising? We are self-sustainable in a food production commodities and all. But whether it is reaching the poorer and poor, whether again we have to think over the nutritional security of the people, whether we are getting amount of current right time or the stable food. So we have to address all these issues. So only thing, though we are in agriculture sector, we are sufficient in food production, but there are several peoples feeling still hunger in African and other Southeast Asian countries. And if you see the aquaculture fisheries point of view, the marine aquaculture, marine fisheries, and freshwater inland fisheries. So both were constituted to define as a fisheries sector, but day by day, if you see to the marine sector, it is overexploited already. Beyond the economic exclusive zone that we call, there is no fishing. So ultimately, we have to depend on our inland water bodies such as rivers, reservoirs, and man-made constructions are the farming inland fisheries. So that's called aquaculture. So there, the farming play is a very big role in the food production sector. So what I have explained that population by 2030, if you imagine now our country itself, we take an example country, now we are at 140 crore. But we don't know 2030 how much population we need to increase. But at the same time, the per capita consumption also has to increase to avail this fish and fishery product to every consumer. So far we are very poor in the sense global average is 20 kg kg per capita. But when it comes to our nation, country level, only 9 kgs. So to reach that, how much production we need to increase by this fisheries and aquaculture sector? So there is a big question.
Okay.
It is existed. Once we see that wolf capture fisheries and aquaculture production, and the production means it comes inland and marine capture. So marine, I have already told the constraints in the marine sector. We cannot harvest the fish as long as possible because the native stock and over exploitation making the fishery sector is on a underwind. So, but there is an opportunity in aquaculture through the inland fishery sector. So both are contributing in the same way, but nowadays the importance for this aquaculture sector by human consumption and per capita increase. So these are the things making, and moreover trade also. If you see the production export market or the domestic consumption wherever you see, so their aquaculture only playing the bigger role. See, this is the situation in the capture fisheries. This is the open water bodies, or you can say inland culture also. So this marine water, orange color line, it is constant. It's keep on moving and constant from 1950, steadily increase up to 1986. There, from there, it has stagnant. The production is not coming from natural. So the rise of graph, when you observe in a inland sector, aquaculture is increasing like anything. So almost now we are on an average 7.1% of average growth. It's a global average of production in the world. And then comes to the countries, different countries, which are the positions and what level they have been produced so far. As per the statistics of FAO statistics, so always China remains. If you excluding China, then all other countries are the production levels are very stagnant. Means average always come to below to the 3 to 5% growth rate only. But when you include the China, our productions level in a global level very high. But even though the tough competition between the countries like Southeast Asian countries, Indonesia, India, Japan, Thailand. So these all countries are also contributing the similar way through the aquaculture sector. Our position in a culture as well as total fish culture production, we remain second position. So in the global sector. And these are the species. Almost a dozen of more than 2 dozen of species in the global level, which are contributing more production in the world. So ultimately, the grass carp.
Sir, PPT is not moving, sir.
Not moving, ma'am.
Yeah.
Where it stuck, ma'am?
In the first slide itself, sir.
First slide itself only stuck, sir. Please share the other.
Okay. Visible, ma'am? Ma'am?
It's the first one. Yes, sir. It's visible only the first slide.
Now, second slide.
Now, not second slide, sir. It is only first slide. It's visible only first slide.
Ayyo. 1 second. Now?
No,
No, sir. It's only first slide.
Sir, just present your screen. Everything will be visible, whatever you do on your system.
Yeah, of course. I just selected window. That's what maybe the reason.
వస్తున్నారా?
Now, madam,
Yes, yes, sir.
now
It's
moving.
visible.
Moving?
Yeah. It's moving, sir.
Okay then. So these are some of the introduction I have given about the world population and what is the per capita consumption. Last 5 to 10 minutes you would have listened. So just I am moving forward to the slide where I was here. The marine sector is overexploited, then constant growth during last 2 to 3 decades. But when we are observing inland aquaculture is rising like anything. So this is the sector only the bright and future for inland capture fisheries. And our position always we are in the second position in the global level. China remains the topper in the aquaculture production. And these are the species contributing to the global almost more than a dozen of species. Grass carp, which is contributing more compared to the other species in China. But when our native species, we talk about native species, Katla or Labio rohita, almost we are the 5th or 10th position only. So there is a scope to increase our production levels also while with utilizing our natural freshwater bodies. And when we talk about our production levels, India, I told already, is the third largest producer of fish producing country and the second largest in the inland aquaculture. At present, almost we are producing 14 million metric tons of fish production, including inland and marine. And the sector also contributing the GDP to the 1.1% and 5.3% to the agriculture GDP. And there are so many several states that are contributing for this aquaculture production level, especially Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Bihar and Chhattisgarh are the topper in the country. And when you look about the resources, the country has resources with the marine and inland aquaculture, inland water bodies. Marine sector, I are told it's over exploiting, but the potential levels in the inland water bodies like rivers, canals, reservoirs, pond, tanks, and estuaries. There are so many upland lakes also there. So, but we have plenty of the resources. We have still utilized remain only 0.15% only. So there is a huge scope, 80 to 70 to 80% water bodies unutilized. So we have to exploit this water body to increase the production levels. And in a natural system, when you see there are each and individual states, they are having different kind of water bodies. So for example, Behari system in West Bengal, they generally whatever the sewage water, so the sewage water, with that they practice this kind of wastewater aquaculture system. So they are producing the fish through this using these water bodies. Then Pokali field, it kind of brackish water lagoons, where they culture the shrimp in the brackish water with addition of agriculture paddy. So again, rice fish integration is very become the popular commodity in northeastern India, and several natural water bodies like Aksabo lakes in Bihar. So they are having wonderful resources to exploit to increase these production levels. And once we observe the average productivity of this particular different kind of practices, so almost 4 to 10 tons means the country's average so far is 2,270 as per the Department of Fisheries. But each and every aspect, the segment of culture, when it comes to the culture, carp culture, pen culture, different kind of practices. So average on an average minimum 3 to 5 tons is calculated. Again, we have to classify. When we classify these kind of practices, this is purpose of the for students especially. So when the beginners, so they have to know what kind of practices are going on. So on what basis we can be categorized. On the basis of salinity, there are 3 kind of fish farming: freshwater fish farming, brackish water fish farming, and the marine water fish farming. So these 3 water bodies can be divided based on the salinity. If it is salinity is 0 ppt, then it is called freshwater. Then when it is come to the 0.5 to 30 ppt, less than 30 ppt, it is called brackish water, and more than 30 ppt, it is the marine water. Then again, we have to classify on the basis of intensity. There are different culture practices based on the stocking density. Intensity is the number stocked per unit area. So again, we have to divide it into the extensive fish farming, semi-intensive fish farming, and the intensive fish farming. Here in extensive fish farming, the stocking density will be very less, and the management levels also, it contributes at the same time very less. And pond area will be larger water bodies when we apply it to the extensive fish farming. And again, look into the semi-intensive, it is a medium level. It means management aspects also involved with the supplementary or without supplementary feeding. The production levels also 2.5 to 10 tons, it will be there. Intensive fish farming means it's overstocking, high stocking density. For example, ponds, tanks, or some raceways. Nowadays, we are talking about RAS, aquaponics. These are all kind of intensive fish farming. So 10 to 50 fish per meter cube we can stock in this water bodies. And another thing, on the basis of stocking practice of species, which kind of species you are culture. So there also you can divide into monoculture and polyculture. Monoculture means it's only the single species targeted in aquaculture. Polyculture means more than two species. So together it will be cultured in the aquaculture system. The principal requirement of different species in the polyculture system is when we have to culture, before culture, you should be know that their feeding habit and what kind of practice in the water column it will be cultured. So the feeding habit, at the same time the ecosystem you have to observe. Then based on that you have to stock, and you should keep the target of market. Whether the species introduced in aquaculture system, we should have some certain market demand. Then only you have to look into for economics aspects. Then non-predatory, it should be a non-predatory behavior. You should not, they should not be carnivorous in nature. So you can't fight together for the feeding. Madam, sorry, any disturbance? Whether I'm audible, ma'am?
Yes, audible, sir. Sir, audible.
Some disturbance is going. Kindly mute yourself, the participant, please. And again, on the basis of enclosures and the control conditions, where whatever the traditional days, whatever the production we are getting from open water bodies like rivers, riverine systems like estuaries or reservoirs. So, but when culture has been adopted, there are the enclosure system, the advanced technologies like cages and pens beyond the level we are practicing nowadays. So out of that, pond culture is the most common method for a fish culture. It is a artificial contraction making by our farmers. So it should have some dike and bund for free movement for feeding of fishes. It should be in a scientific manner we have to maintain. Then earthen pond, traditionally only we got the production levels of 2 to 4 tons, very low yield actually, whether it is a supplementary feeding or not, but the farmer used to practice such kind of things. When as the advanced evaluation of advanced technologies like feeding technologies as extruded feed is coming out, last 1 decade farmer are producing like 10 tons per hectare nowadays. So that is the ultimate beauty of the farmers. They are producing the range, and also the availability of nutritional aspects also increasing day by day. Where instance, I told earlier, the mean average the country's production level productivity is 2,270 kg. Compared to that, nowadays farmers are producing in a very huge manner with the available facilities. And when you're talking about pond, there are different kind of ponds will be there. Nursery, rearing, stocking, and the broodstock and spawning. There are the several definitions, but nursery means always the baby can be grown up to the fry size. It is up to 1 inch to 1 to 1.5. Is a pond depth also very less, and pond size also sometimes we have to 200 to 400 square meter only we have to maintain. The rearing pond, again the fry level we have to rear up to the fingerling. So here again pond size will be increased. So depends on the practice, the area of the pond size will be increased, and the management practices also will be different from pond to pond. So like broodstock pond, the hatcheries, they develop broodstock ponds. The spawning ponds also, to rear the breeding at the breeding plan, you need for some spawning ponds also. Even though the aquaculture so far has been developed in a 1 lakh hectare, but there is a still scope of utilizing our natural water bodies like pens and cages. So still our productivity levels are very less, 50 kg per hectare per year in a small reservoirs, imagine, and 8 kg per hectare per year in a larger reservoirs. So means there is a huge gap in a pond level, in artificial ponds. So we are increasing our production into tons, but here kg remains, only the productivity is in kgs only. So it is a huge gap. We have to fulfill utilizing this water bodies or the wetlands. So these are some of the cages. So how you can install the cages in the open water bodies? There is a separate specifications, and some are like some you can have with the metal frame. Some people HDP floating circular cages in a the water bodies like in a Krishna river, in a Prakasham barrage. You might have observed sometimes those floating the water bodies are the enclosures are cages. We call cages. Pens also sometimes helpful. In the one corner of water body, we can establish the pens and we can culture the fishes to increase the production levels. So it also remains varies with the places to places and availability of material and the specifications. The economics also, farmer always sees towards the economics, which is the cheaper material they get, they will adapt those kind of practices they follow. And again, there is a different in the practice that is called integrated aquaculture system, where along with fish, you can integrate with agriculture or poultry or some other horticulture crops or etc. So here there are several classification has been defined. Rice fish integration means along with the paddy, you can culture the rice. You can culture the fish. Then horticulture crop. Along with the horticulture crop, fish also it can be cultured, and as well as livestock and sericulture practices. Here what happens, so here utilizing the total ecology of the pond, and at the same time the remaining place, so the waste place also you can utilize for some additional crop and for the additional income to the farmer. So this is the concept. Again, there is a zero feed system. Integrated fish farming always is called a zero feed. Suppose when the excreta from this poultry or piggery or whatever, it can be utilized as the feed or the food for the fishes. The water body can be the water you can use for the culture, in the sense for a paddy or culture of the power plants or the irrigation purpose also. So where you get the organic level of organic type of products. So here no management involved will be there, but you can limited resources of fertilizers are you can using. So that's what. So the entire product you can say organic type of aquaculture or agriculture. And another category of aquaculture practice is wastewater aquaculture. Yeah, like in a West Bengal, the sewage fed fishery is very popular. So where they follow the treatment, the treated water, it can be flow through the agriculture commodity, then they divert for the aquaculture also. And it is a unique aquatic ecosystem. Some popular countries, Indonesia or southern Southeast Asian countries, they are following this kind of practices, but in remaining other state, very negligible, hardly 0.1% also we are not visualizing. But here also there is a scope, because here nutrient level in the sewage water is very rich. They are enriched with a higher nutrient contents. So this water can be utilized for aquaculture purpose. And another one, recirculatory aquaculture. This is the one kind of modern aquaculture system. Nowadays, the farmers without space, in the limited space and the limited water, so you can practice the aquaculture. So utilizing this recirculatory aquaculture system, where mechanical filtration, here the entire water has been circulated within the control condition. There several filtration has been applied, like biological filtration for nitrification process. Like you have to provide a rich nutrient content, and as well as you have to treat the water. The clean water system always used for aquaculture with a high stocking density they practice. So that's what So you have to take care of your entire system here with the aeration also. And another thing, aquaponic system. This is very familiar nowadays. So with the uh, uh, hydroponics, you have to add aquaculture. Means in the sense fish culture also you have to add. So both it combines of fish culture and plant in a recirculatory system. Almost 98% of water it has been recirculated in this system. Suppose if you want to produce 1 kg of fish, 320 liters of water required. But where in a pond culture, almost 3 cubic meter of water means 3 tons of water, almost it will be utilized 1 to 2 3 tons. So is a huge amount of water you are saving here. So that's what these are the technologies are very popular nowadays in Israel and other Western countries. They are using this kind of practices and they are getting more production as a fish as well as agriculture commodities. And here when you talk about the advantages, energy efficient, because always in a pond culture you don't know how much wastage is going on. Here with minimum energy level you are providing, you are producing more production. And again organic fertilizers, you need not to worry about the fertilizer, and because always fish waste it is circulated, then it will be utilized as the fertilizer for the plant crops and all those things. Then you are ensuring the higher production through this per unit area. So that is the advantage of this aquaponic system. And another thing is the biofloc. Nowadays it is a booming, it's a burning topic. Biofloc, everybody talking about biofloc. But these are the things in open water bodies you cannot control. Only utilizing by this particulate organic matter, by supplying of the organic carbon source with the aerobic and heterotrophic bacteria, you have to generate this bacteria and you have to feed the fish. That is the simple logic of this particular technology. But when you are doing in a pond management by using minimum water exchange, here it should be, you cannot like circulation, you cannot exchange the water, you cannot circulate, because it is involved with some of the feeding material, that is the bacteria, organic matter. So dense population will be there. You have to maintain that ratio always before some of the parameters like ammonia, and this will be when as soon as the bacterial level will be deteriorates, so you have to mortality will be there, then there is a problem in a water body, there you have to recycle your water. And another advanced technology like integrated multitropic aquaculture. So here we have seen pond culture, we have seen RA system, aquaponics. Here in an open water body, you need not to waste your the ecology, and means the environment, the different columns into water body, you have to utilize all these water bodies. So in that base, this technology has been evolved. So here, fed aquaculture means the fish can be utilized, the feeding, the fish will be fed the other organic materials, so automatically fish will be grown. Then organic extractive things like shellfishes, either you can culture the oysters or shrimp or some other like pearl oyster, you can no, then freshwater pearl, lamellid and marginalis. So these kind of oysters, they act as a filter feeder, the water can be filtered, then those it will be become for feeding for the fishes. Then whatever waste it will be generated from the fish, so the utilized by the worms, and it will be utilized for the microalgae to grow up, because it can be utilized as fertilizer for microalgae. So entire water body you are utilizing here. So this is the advantage of integrated multitropic aquaculture. And another thing is raceway. Raceway means just is a running water. The fish culture you can do in the running water with the flow movement, with the optimum flow and constant speed you should maintain. There are different kind of raceways, linear type and lateral type. So whatever the technology you develop, the water, the circular movement, it should be remains from inlet to outlet only. There again, the running water like RAS, there will be a filter system, then clean water system you have to be used. And some countries like Japan and in our country also, West Bengal or Tripura, you is to call Jora kind of practices. Because in a higher altitude, in a cold water region, they used to practice these kind of practices, because there the water temperature also they should maintain the temperature. So these are the technologies very popular in those hilly altitude regions. And aqua house, this is a kind of practice, poly house. we are doing nowadays polyhouses for agriculture. So in the similar manner, aquaculture can be possible. So some of the Western countries like Netherlands, Belgium, Japan, and USA, they are very popular. They are nowadays doing this kind of practices. So this is the example in our country, Rohtak, West Bengal, Haryana and Punjab area, they are doing, because it is a control system where the environment is sometimes it playing bigger role. We don't know, during the winter season the temperatures comes down, so the growth of fish may be distant. But kind of this polyhouse, open houses, if you are constructed for fish culture, so the environmental parameters you can maintain optimum. So with that, fish culture will be very easily practiced. And in hatcheries also, sometimes flow through hatchery you can call. So there also this kind of practices. For seed production also we are utilizing these technologies. And these are the some of the aquaculture production systems. Whatever the dozen so far I have given, explained the production systems for how to produce the production, increase the production. But how you will increase the fish production? With a different kind of species. So again, the species level also, the diversification is very important for the country. We are having largest biodiversity in the geographical region, but out of 21,730 species aquatic organisms, only hardly we are using 220 species only for farming. And these are some of the indigenous varieties, our domestic fishes we call. Everybody familiar with the katla, rohu and mrigal. So based on our system, we have adapted our this indigenous species. We call these are Indian major carps. And again, we have introduced some exotic species from China: common carp, silver carp, and the grass carp. Even though the carps are available, they are contributing higher production in the fisheries, but our native species, magur, and another papda, singi, these are some of the native species we are culturing in the freshwater bodies to produce contribute the freshwater aquaculture. Again, now last 1 decade back we have introduced this pungus. It is also striped catfish. So now it is after carps like katla and rohu, this is the second largest species, is contributing more towards the aquaculture system. And apart from catfishes, then again air breathing fishes, morels, misters, anabas, and wallagoattu also they are contributing in their own way. And apart from fishes, we have a different kind of species. Earlier monodon was there in a culture system, because of due to some reason, their disease problems or the market problems. So WSSV, there are different kind of now also it is very prevalence in the venomiculture. Even though the farmers, they are looking for economics and so they go for culture, especially towards to get the more revenue rather than fish. So that's what they are adapting this venom in freshwater aquaculture. And again, same thing, the Macrobacterium rosenbergi, we call freshwater prawn. It is also cultured in the freshwater. Apart from these commercial varieties, India we have been SIFA has been standardized so many species, breeding and seed technology of this particular species. These are all called some of the minor species and the family of major carps also. So Puntius sarana and Labio bata, Gonius, these are the species available in our all indigenous one, and especially Godavari, Krishna Delta, this riverine system. So we can culture this species into to give additional income to the farmer. After the species, there is the bigger role in the genetics. So how the genetics will contribute to the increase of freshwater fish culture? By selective breeding method. Here there are different concept has been evolved for genetic improvement of fish through the hybridization or crossbreeding, chromosome manipulation, and transgenesis. Some ethics we don't know, because every consumer may not prefer all kind of transgenic fish, but the selective breeding process is the only way it shows the how we can develop the fishes with the for new variety, improved variety for aquaculture. One of the example is gift tilapia. So genetically improved farm tilapia, developed by World Fish Center, Iclaram, Malaysia. So these people have been developed this variety which is giving the survival, good growth and the survival and increasing the aquaculture yield. In India, we as a SIFA, we developed a Jayanti Rohu, that is called Genetically Improved Rohu for a sustainable aquaculture production. We have collected the brooders from the different riverine sources, and we have given us a combination of selection method, that family selection. With that, we have worked for 10 to 12 years to generate the 12th generation fish. So that which giving the genetic gain of 18% per generation. So it is giving, and different, we have tested this fish in different agroclimatic region. It is performing very well. When farmer perspective, that he is looking for the economics. Our Jayanti Rohu, normally it is giving good performance compared to the normal Rohu. So normal Rohu comes in generally in a market size 8 to 10 months, but whereas our Jayanti Rohu 6 to 8 months only. So the way he can reduce the cost of production for the farmer. And after that, third aspect, farmer innovation. There are so many scientific innovations. Then beyond that, farmers also, the science developed by this farmer before this research contribution. How these are the practices. Most of the, especially with respect to the Andhra Pradesh, Krishna Godavari Delta, the Kolleru Lake area is the most popular for this aquaculture, carp culture especially. And carp has evolved a technical know-how. In the last 3 decades, the farmer, their own innovation, they have developed the culture technology, and now they are contributing more to this country, revenue to the country. At present, the area under fish culture is almost about 1 lakh hectare, and fungus culture almost 10,000 hectare, Paco and other fishes 5,000 hectare, area under Venamai culture 24,000, and rest of the species they contribute to 500 hectares only. It is especially with reference to Andhra Pradesh only I am giving. And before 2008, technology. Before 2008, there was a traditional technology. Only the riverine seed, whatever the seed it comes, the hatchery producer, they produce the seed. Straight away, we are stocking into the nursery from their growth culture. But the farmers, they have developed their own seed, like it is called stunted fingerling or stunted yearling. So here, the fry became 8 to 10 months. It grows up to 30 to 50 grams in a control condition and with a limited feeding. So the fish become sluggish, means in the sense you cannot give proper limited feeding. You have to maintain with a fingerling size. From there, if you release into the culture pond in a 10 to 12 months, it could be harvested at 1 kg. So there is a management practices are necessary for this kind of practices. But after 2008, the scenario has been changed in aquaculture system in Andhra Pradesh, where the stunted fingerlings, they used to grow up to 0 size. It's called a 0 point, means from 50 to 100 gram fish, they rear up to 250 to 300 gram. This is called as seed for the farmer. This seed, 0 point seed, they release into the grow-out system at the rate of 5,000 per hectare. Then at a 5 to 6 months period, the fish could be harvested at 1.5 kg per year, almost double the practice they used to get. Then 10 to 15 tons per hectare they used to produce. And there are the different stocking densities. Like in a carp culture, the 5,000 numbers per hectare they used to follow, and then my maximum production yield 5 to 6 in a 4 to 6 months. At the same time, Pangasius 15,000 to 25,000 number they used to stock per hectare. Then again here production levels is so high, 30 to 50 tons per hectare within a 7 to 9 months. Paku also they contribute in a similar way into 4 to 6 tons. Then Venami also sometimes they cultured in the fresh water, though it is the brackish water shrimp, but it can be cultured in fresh water. So it is also contributing 3 to 4 tons in a 120 days practice. And combination of species also. It is advantages to increase aquaculture production with a combination of species. When it is being cultured with a polyculture, generally fungus can be cultured with a rohu and katla. Then sometimes sea bass also nowadays they introduce in the freshwater aquaculture. They are culturing with the carp. Then shrimp culture also with the Vename rohu or Vename with the fungus also nowadays they are practicing. Then Vename culture completely it is a monoculture. Nowadays the new species Rupchan that is called Paku, it is being cultured in a monoculture and also along with the carps also in a combination of in polyculture system they are culturing. And inputs, these are the inputs especially the farmers they are applying further to increase the production level and the productivity in the pond. Generally for carps farmyard manure is a necessity. It should be applied to 20 to 25,000 per hectare tons per hectare because carps always prefer the natural food. Apart from the technology for feed technology has been developed, the carps always prefer the natural food. For that these are the inputs are required. Poultry manure, biofertilizers, and DAP, superphosphate. Based on that, the type of fish you are culturing, type of plankton you can develop. Suppose Katla is a zooplankton feeder. So ultimately, you have to apply single superphosphate to the more ratio will be there. You should maintain the ratio, but sometimes you have to apply more kind of fertilizers. Suppose phytoplankton DAP. So like that urea and DAP. So you have to apply this kind of fertilizers for to increase the natural production in the pond, productivity in the pond environment for the feeding of fishes. Pangasius, earlier farmer used to follow these practices, farmyard manure or chicken manure, but nowadays it is completely feed oriented, floating feed technology. So when it is developed, then the Pangasius is completely feed oriented culture. And these are the different kind of feeding practices. Carps generally rice bran, the combination of rice bran and GNOC with the 2:1 you should maintain, but FCR always higher because these are the natural production common traditional feeding system. Remain sometimes 50% it goes for the feeding, but 50% remain in the waste in the bottom. So that's the way FCR always increases. For that nowadays this floating feed or the pelleted feed has been developed where you can minimize this FCR, you can get very improved improvement in the growth as well as you can reduce the feed cost also. Then fungus completely I told formulated extruded feed 100% only with the 1.3 to 1.5 FCR. Venami always giving a good FCR 1.6 to 1.8. There are several feed additives. Venami industry is very so far branded. There are several branded feeds as per the and basically based on the body weight, average body weight, you have to feed these fishes almost 3 to 5% in the growth culture. And Rupchand also formulated extruded feed is very popular. Officially, so far, Government of India not yet permitted, but farmers are they are doing culture of Rupchand, and where the FCR is follows two only. And these are the some of the methods the farmers are following, especially gunny in a gunny bags. Traditional feed I told you that de-oiled rice bran and a groundnut oil cake. So they mix together and they will tie in the gunny bag per acre 30 to 40 bags they will keep into for feeding of fishes. Then after developing the floating feed technology, the pelleted feed, so that is very easy. It is become very easy for the farmers to feeding the fishes. And growth wise also when FCR calculated from come down 3 to 4 5 to it is now 1 to 1.5 only. And off feeding practices sometimes what they do in a carp culture especially you have to save the feed cost. So there is a thumb rule that in a 1 week time they can feed only 6 days. One day you can give a holiday to the fish. In that way you can save a lot of economics almost with the off feeding technology. If you calculate like that per day, 1 day for 1 week, like 200 days, it may comes to 60 days, almost 45 to 60 days. We can save 40,000 per hectare to the farmer. And feed always contributes to the larger expenditure among the all inputs whatever the farmers is applying into the culture system. Thereafter seed cost is so high nowadays. Then medicine, labor, and all other aspects also contributed in a similar manner for fish culture. And thereafter carp, the pangasius, the variety 2010 when it was introduced in Andhra Pradesh, it is the alternate variety to the Indian major carps in recent times. Because of the irregular market and the price fluctuation, it is reduced in stagnant and for the sustainable aquaculture. Earlier it was almost 1 lakh hectare now reduced to 20,000 hectare only. And sometimes when before developing this pelleted feed, the farmers used to culture their own feed, means they made farm made feed called farm made feed by cooking the broken rice and other bajras, some kind of varieties. They used to cook the rice and they used to feed the pangasius and carps also, because they always look into the economics. For reduce the feed cost, they have to get more profits. And they when the formulated feed has been developed, and they never look back to for because agriculture market commodities, the wastage, whatever soya bean or rice bran, groundnut cake, the cost is also nowadays increasing. So in that cost, they are maintaining this floating feed. And another species I told that Paku, Rupchand, it is unofficially they are culturing, but government of India so far not permitted. Though they have developed this culture technology in Andhra Pradesh at the rate of 7,500 numbers they are used to stocking with a 0 point seed, and almost to 5,000 hectares they are culturing, but a very good fish. And based on the consumer preference, they are exporting to the northeastern market or the southern market like Karnataka, Bangalore, Kochi also. And it can be cultured with the fishes also, with the pangas and IM's Indian major carps. And another variety they have adapted, that pangasius with the white leg shrimp. In a freshwater, the shrimp can be cultured along with the pangasius, where 35,000 numbers they stock per hectare of pangasius, then 1 lakh number per 1 lakh venami per hectare. Then production levels also 45 tons they used to get from 1 hectare, then 3 tons of venami. FCR remains same for both the species, 1.5, 1.5. And these are the thing kind of practices they follow. But always my suggestion to the farmer or who are the academic side, there is a need of research to do in this aspect there, where the shrimp culture practiced in freshwater, but it is not advisable, because beyond the level we are practicing, what happens, the groundwater always deteriorating. So they are applying different kind of salt or some to give because it is the basically the shrimp is, it is in a natural the environment is brackish water or marine water, it should grow. But when you apply to the fresh water, they used to have some physiological purpose. They use apply the so many kind of chemicals and salts. So ultimately groundwater, it will become polluted. So it will be very hampered to the our future generation. And another thing that in a carp there is a sucker mouth fish. So it is an aquarium fish. It is devastating like carp culture. Anything the last 2 years, farmers are facing big problem, because it is unwanted fish generally. It is all of a sudden. So the pangasius, paku, and this sucker mouth, they are all carnivore, and they came from aquarium side. Instantly they have been introduced into our natural water bodies, otherwise it has been not brought from. But those species pangasius, paku are cultured fishes, they become adapted. But this fish either edible portion or any other portion we cannot use for the human consumption or any other value added products, though it is hampering like anything in a carp culture to the so it's giving loss, especially basically yield. And also it is competition for feeding also. When it is going for the culture with the carbs, it is having the sort of feed aspect, so farmers are getting lesser production. And to avoid this particular sucker mouth fish, we have been suggested that biological control, introduction of chital, means Netopterus chitala. So if you introduce 150 number per hectare, it can eat that eat the eggs of this particular sucker mouth fish, and so you can avoid the production levels in the pond system. So at the same time, it gives additional revenue to the farmer. And last 2 years 3 years, we know that COVID-19 has a huge impact on human and as well as aquaculture industry also. So same time the price were fallen down. There was a lot of fluctuations, 5 to 15 rupees to almost 20 rupees also. Sometimes in Vietnam 20-40 rupees margin is a huge loss to the farmers. So these are the way the farmers has been, now they are struggling. Government is supporting somehow, but there are several aspects, several points we have to address these farmers through the research point of view. And apart from culture, there are so many hatcheries for seed production. Though Andhra Pradesh is self-sustained in the fish seed production, but from West Bengal is the leader in the seed production. We are importing so still pangasius and all other varieties, so paku or you say any whatever the variety. Sometimes carp also. We are having 20, I mean 35 hatcheries. Though we are importing seed from West Bengal, so there is a lot of demand to the farmer. So where the students or the wherever the entrepreneurs, they have to come forward and they have to develop the hatcheries and the culture system to meet the demand of the farmers. And another thing, the development from the farmer is the transportation. Earlier in a gamcha or something, some polythene bags, we don't have handis just to transport from river and sources. But after developing the hatcheries and the Chinese carp, Chinese hatcheries and other glassware hatcheries, they have developed a transportation facility also, because oxygen based seed transportation. So these are the things, they used to pack the seed with cylinders, and how long as possible they can transfer the seed from the state. And also they are exporting the table size fish to the with ice to the other states. And apart from culture, we have so many problems in the culture system, like diseases. In a carp culture, there are external and bacterial diseases is always prevalence in this culture system. Arugulus is a parasite that is a crustacean parasite. It is almost 2000 crore rupees loss every year per annum. It is giving to the loss to the farmer. And the pangasius only when where the abiotic stress, the overstocking density, it creates almost we recommend almost ideal number to the per stocking density, but farmers, they are free. So they, as when as they follow the higher number, they used to stock and they used to get all this problem, because they have to keep in mind that environmental stress and the water quality and the organic load of the pond. And these are some of the visuals of different diseases occurred in the Andhra Pradesh faced by these farmers. And we have some challenges for the sustainable issues also. What happens nowadays, feed cost is increased like anything. These are the some of the resolvable issues also. So input cost, almost feed, I told 60 to 70% it is giving contributed to the aquaculture system, where feed plays a bigger role. So here we have to work on different kind of feed. What are the feed we have to use? What are the different kind of conventional feed we have to look forward? So how to reduce the cost of the input cost to the farmer, so they can save some money. But again, some lack of proper pond management method they follow. High stocking density they should not follow. Then once they are following means some culture, they should maintain the aerator facility. So like that they have to lack of proper pond management. Then water availability. Nowadays water scarcity we are facing big way. So we have to look forward some technologies like RAS or bioflag or aquaponics, this kind of technology with a minimum water, higher production. So that is the fundamental way we have to nowadays we are working. And water recycling treatment mechanism are not familiar with the farmer, because of water scarcity they are unable to transfer the water or exchange the water. Otherwise, if water is available, they are free to recycle the water. And where the disease outbreaks are common in the higher stocking densities. And especially the market, unless until the farmer don't have market, they cannot culture mix the culture. For example, COVID-19 itself, it is shown when is the lockdown period, they are unable to market the fishes. So at the same time, excuse me. So, please mute yourself. When when they domestic market, suppose we people like if any entrepreneurs or value added addition we could have developed, so farmers save sustain, and at the same way, madam, please mute yourself. In the same way,
Okay, sir. Okay.
you have to develop the market, export market, like traders and other exporters. You have to develop for crops and other commodities, so the generation will be very high. Then export avenues, that's what I am explaining, that. And value added products, nowadays pickles and all those things, very restricted amount, restricted quality, are the canned food in the sense, when the army people, they used to take all this canned food only. So this kind of product from fishery side, fish and fisheries, if you have developed, there is a good demand, and the market will be developed. And a shortage of feed ingredient because of natural calamities nowadays. So for example, soybean, it is highly cultivated in Madhya Pradesh. So those kind of things, because of natural calamity, this year heavy rains, so entire crop has been gone. There, the price level will be increased. So these kind of short of feed ingredient, where we have to look forward for alternate varieties to develop the as a feed ingredient for fishes. And the similar things, misuse of pesticides and antibiotics, they, the farmers, whoever comes, they are proper awareness, they don't have the proper knowledge how to use these medicines. And moreover, the antibiotics, so there are several antibiotics, 17 to 18 antibiotics banned by government of India, but though they are using still, because of some technical guidance, they are lacking of technical guidance, that's what they are misutilizing, and all those things happening. Then quality seed, it is playing a bigger role to get a good survival in the aquaculture system. There also we need to look for the quality seed always from the hatchery entrepreneurs and other sectors. And with this, this is a proverb you might have known, everybody known: give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So this is the proverb by Chinese. So this is very useful wherever you go, this will be, you can see. So that's what the advantage of
మేడం
aquaculture.
ఎండింగ్ వచ్చిందేమో మేడం ని పిలవమంటారా అరుణ మేడం
This is the advantage of fish
వస్తుందేమో
culture,
మేడం ని
because
పిలిస్తే
as a consumer, if you give a fish, then he will take a one day or half a meal. But if you teach him for aquaculture, it will give a life to the for a farmer or any entrepreneur or anybody. So that is the advantages. And with this, let's join hands together to enrich the health and wealth of save the environment while developing in aquaculture. Thank you very much. In a nutshell, this is about recent trends in freshwater aquaculture. So if you have any queries, so let me discuss. Yes, ma'am, are you there?
Dear audience, participants, please interact with the sir. If you are having any doubts, please interact with the sir. You can clarify your doubts, and if any questions or queries are there, please interact with the sir. Are there any person? Please interact with the sir. Ma'am, welcome, Anita ma'am.
Hello.
We
Yes,
can
ma'am.
hear.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
please.
Yeah, this is Dr. Anita Susan from Government College for Women, Guntur.
Good morning,
sir. What's the Telugu name for this Paku and Rupchan? Vernacular name.
Actually, it is like we used to call it the ornamental variety, madam. In South Amazon, it is the native of Brazil. But when suppose the farmer, it is introduced via Bangladesh to our country. But in a Telugu, so far it is not our native species. So that's what we have not come across any Telugu name for this particular fish. So far we have given Rupchand only.
They call
It's
that
our-
a Roopchand in the market also.
In the market, Roopchand only, madam. By Hindi or Telugu, whoever name it, so they are calling as the Roopchand only.
ఇందులో కనెక్ట్ అయిపోయింది.
And how is the demand for this for pangasius, sir? Do many people eat that?
మేడం అక్కడ నుండి మాట్లాడుతున్నారు.
Yes, ma'am. It's pangasius nowadays. What happens in what I explained in my present 2010, there is a era when it was introduced. Like now, paku has been cultured. Similar way, pangasius introduced in 2010. There is a huge production. It's like 5 lakh tons of fishes has been produced by AP farmers. But there is no market. Ultimately, it has fallen down. So ultimately, 30 rupees per kg the cost of production for fish so for farmers. But now after that they have learned the lesson. Now it is stagnant 10 to 20,000 hectares. Now it is going on very good. So all northeast market like Delhi or Ghaziabad or Lucknow, these all states. So they are having markets. So in that way, 85 to 90 rupees they are getting per kg. Cost of for farmer perspective in the open market it is very high. Again 150 to 200 rupees kg.
Oh, that's
there is
very
a demand for pangas, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. Very nice lecture. We learned.
Thank you, ma'am.
I wish many of our aqua students hear your lecture. I'll see. I'll ask Karuna madam if I can share this with my students from the YouTube.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dear participants, it's now your time to ask queries. Please make use of this opportunity to clarify your doubts and put your questions in the chat box. Dear participants, it's now your time to ask queries. If you have any doubt, please clarify it directly or put them in the chat box. Anybody is there? So now I'll continue the session. Dear sir, Dr. Ramesh Rathod, we extend our immense gratitude to you for your availability to be the resource person of the day. Your session was very informative, inspiring, and excellent, relevant to the present scenario. You have given more information about recent advances in freshwater aquaculture. You have explained in detail about inland and marine water aquaculture systems. It's your generosity and sharing of your repository knowledge that made this day a very enriching and helpful to the entire nation. Once again, I thank Dr. Ramesh Rathod for interacting with the participants, enlightening us with your rich knowledge and experience. I thank all the participants for your wonderful interaction. Let us move on to the valedictory session. I am very much delighted to present 6 days report in a nutshell manner. First of all, I am expressing my sincere thanks to the correspondent, principal, and all other management committee members of J&J College for Women Autonomous, professors, lecturers, scholars, academicians, participants, computer technicians, organizing members, and my colleagues who made the interdisciplinary 6-day national webinar cum faculty development program on emerging trends and technologies in development of skills in higher education a grand success. Our J&J College is aimed at empowering women in all fields of education and life. To achieve this aim, the college has been conducting a number of national and international level seminars, workshops, webinars, FDPs, and many other such programs. In this line, a 6-day national webinar has been organized by the Department of English and Zoology, JMJ College, Tenali, from 21st to 26th November 2022, for which Dr. N. Vimala Devi, HOD, Department of English, acted as convener, and Mrs. M. Aruna, HOD, Department of Zoology, and IKC coordinator is the organizing secretary. Day 1, the webinar started at 10 a.m. with a prayer song. Mrs. M. Aruna, head Department of Zoology, initially addressed all the guests, participants, researchers, scholars, and academicians, and gave a brief introduction about FDP. Introduction of the speaker was given by Dr. N. Vimala Devi, Head Department of English. The speaker of the session on day 1 was Professor Madhavi Kesari, Professor and Head Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, a National Institute of Technology, that is NIT, Warangal. She discussed the topic on emerging trends and technologies in development of skills in higher education. She highlighted holistic education has permeated in all sectors of life, and also focused on integration of education, mainstream skills, and technology components that helps to bring out real life issues in classrooms, which leads to meaningful discussions regarding the same. She explained in detail about holistic skills, cognitive skills, critical thinking skills, a gig economy, startup, marginalized sections to drive up skills that are Padlet, telescopic text, Nearpod, and Quillbot. Day 2. Program began with a welcome address by Dr. G. Jyoti Olivia. The second day speaker was Dr. Sonam Gupta, Assistant Professor in Dr. Shyam Prasad Mukherjee University, Ranchi. She gave a lecture on research manuscript advancement through online tools and techniques. She exclusively discussed about the central structure of original research paper, complete writing process, and thesis writing tools, use of online paraphrasing software, use of reference management softwares, Scopus, free publications, predatory journals, UGC care list, Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 journals, and free writing tips. She mainly focused on online thesis writing tools, plagiarism detector, SEO magnifier, and Spinbot. She also explained about reference management tools like Jotero, Mendeley, Tricks, EndNote, Reference Manager, and Kibib text, and some of the writing tips. Day 3. The session started with a prayer song. Introduction of the session was given by Dr. C.H. Sarojini, Department of Zoology. On the third day, the speaker was Professor Mrunalini Talla, a Department of Education, Usmania University, Hyderabad. Her topic was techniques and technologies of teaching. She emphasized about how a teacher would understand pedagogy and acquire skills and technologies to share their knowledge in classrooms in a better manner. She explained that commitment, tolerance, courage, confidence, storytelling, organization, aptitude, attitude, and innovation plays a crucial role, not only in the professional life, but also in personal life. She also explained about SWOT analysis and Bloom's taxonomy. Day 4, Professor Mrinal Chatterjee, journalist, media academician, and regional director of the Eastern Indian Institute of Mass Communication at Dhenkanal, Odisha, was the resource person. He gave a talk on new pedagogy across the world. He enlightened and innovative pedagogical approaches that have the potential to guide teaching and transform learning. The selected pedagogies, namely formative analytics, teach back, place based learning, learning with drones, learning with robots, are attached to specific technological developments. He emphasized upon Corona to provide a rapid assessment of the benefits of the online mode and the challenges to improve teaching and learning by using online facilities. Day 5. On 25th November 2022, Dr. Sudhan Chandran, Assistant Professor, Department of Fisheries Biology and Resource Management, TNJFU Fisheries College and Research Institute, Tamil Nadu, Dr. J. Jayalalitha Fisheries University, Thoothukudi, gave a talk on web-based fisheries applications for sustainable future towards blue growth. In his talk, he gave the inputs regarding the recent status of marine fish capture and inland fish production. Still, we are also utilizing the natural resources available in our India. He stressed fisheries potential exports units under Ministry of Apiculture, Android mobile-based applications, fisheries for fishermen, aquaculture for aquaculture farmers, SIBA shrimp app for reading materials, usage of technology for capturing the fish and for identification of potential fishing zone. Funding agency Matsya Setu, Matsya Fisheries Business, Arusa Fisheries Education developed by him. Advancement in fisheries sector using different portals to upgrade our studies Coursera. International portals, Indian Swayam, how does the technology impact on education? 26th report, Dr. Ramesh Rathod, Senior Scientist, ICAR, Central Institute of Freshwater Aquaculture. He has given information about aquaculture production systems used at a global level, case, pen culture, and also explained about aquaponics system, biofloc system, Raceway, aqua house, flow through, shellfish culture, then selective breeding in fish for sustainable aquaculture production. And also he focused on genetically improved formed tilapia, rohu, feeds used in aquaculture in AP, feed and feeding practices in freshwater aquaculture, carps, then seed production and transport, common diseases in aquaculture, challenges and sustainability issues, existing management practices. More than 600 participants registered and attended for this program from various colleges, institutions, and universities of different states across India. We are proud to announce that the FDP experienced an overwhelming response from faculty and aspiring researchers across several universities. I hope this webinar cum faculty development program provided an opportunity for faculty, scholars, academicians, and students to strengthen their knowledge, practical skills, and employability skills by using the latest technology. I strongly believe this FDP will host bracing, edifying, and charming discussions and motivate faculty and young researchers to immerse themselves in oriented teaching and learning. The interaction with the participants was really outstanding. I hope each and every participant is well aware of the different themes and topics concerning the webinar. We had a great time having you all. Please pay attention to the announcement. The certificate will be provided after filling the feedback form. Feedback form will be sent to your registered mail ID within 2 hours. After filling the feedback form, you will be receiving the certificate within 2 or 3 days. If anybody does not receive the certificate, you can click on download link and get it. You have to fill the feedback form only once. So once again, a big thanks to each one of you wholeheartedly for glorifying this this national webinar with your gracious presence. It has remained a pronounced pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, one and all. Now I invite Dr. N. Vimala Devi, HOD of Department of English, to propose vote of thanks.
Honorable dignitaries, distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, present excellencies, participants, my colleagues, and my dear friends. I would like to propose vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who worked really hard to make this one national webinar come faculty development program possible. On behalf of Daily College for Women and the entire fraternity of the institution, as convener of the webinar, I extend my sincere thanks to the Almighty for making mathematician success. I should first thank and convey my deep regards to our honorable eminent speakers, Dr. Madhavi Kesari, Professor Mrinalini Pala, Dr. Sonam Gupta, Professor Brinal Chatterjee, Dr. Sudhan Chandran, and Dr. Ramesh Rathod, who spare time from their busy schedule to grace this one-week FDP with their extremely relevant advice. We have no words to offer gratitude for your motivation and inspiring talks. We are grateful to you for your impressive and lively sessions. Your interaction with the participants was really outstanding. Once again, we are very much grateful to all the respected speakers for sharing your rich knowledge and valuable suggestions. So thank you once again to all the masters of teachers. I render my sincere thanks to Dr. Sister Teresa Gade, corresponding, for always encouraging us and providing opportunities to organize such events. My sincere gratitude goes to Dr. Sister Shiny, Principal, JNJ College for Women, for being a constant motivator and guiding force in all our endeavors to excel in the field of education. I am ever grateful to Sister Sarada, Vice Principal, for your cooperation and support. You have always been generous with us. Thank you, sister. My deep sense of thanks and appreciation to Mrs. M. Aruna, Organizing Secretary of this one-week webinar. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your excellent cooperation, commitment, and meticulous care. Thank you, ma'am. My special thanks to wonderful participants who choose to believe with us and attended the webinar with great enthusiasm and made it successful. We had a great time having you all. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to organizing committee, my colleagues and friends, Dr. Sarojini, Dr. Jyoti Valivia, Dr. Vijayamma, Mrs. Pranavi, and PP, for your relentless efforts and being with us in making this webinar a grand success. Last but surely not the least, I convey my sincere thanks to Mr. Murali and Mr. Ravi for all the technical support and for helping us to record our sessions. Once again, a big thank you to each one of you wholeheartedly for glorifying this one-week faculty development program with your gracious presence. To conclude, I wish you all great success in your pursuits. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you once again.
దాన్ని మనం ఒక్కసారైనా చదువుదాం. నాకు తెలిసి మనం ఎప్పుడు కూడా భారత రాజ్యం పేరు అన్నప్పుడు ప్రతి ఒక్కరి కూడా ఒక పుస్తకం ఉండాలి. భారత రాజ్యం అంటే ఏంటి, అందులో ఉండేటువంటి విషయాలు ఏంటి,